So the divide and rule tactics of the Tinubu government, especially dividing people along ethnic lines, is a state policy. And Nigerians must be clear about what the aims are. And the aim is actually to ensure that we are not as organized as we could have been to challenge them.
We don't really understand the kind of bondage and subjugation you are placed in until you go out. And I'm here to tell us that freedom and liberty for Nigerian citizens is not an ideal, but should be a reality.
Organizers of the Endbadgovernance protest have released a 7-point ultimatum to the federal government ahead of their planned demonstrations on October 1, 2024. The demands include the removal and prosecution of government officials accused of suppressing protests and violating human rights, scrapping of the 1999 Constitution and its replacement with a people-made constitution, and restructuring of Nigeria to accommodate its diversity. Stakeholders weigh in on state of the nation.
What the Nigerian can do is not a protest. What the Nigerian can do is what everybody who is pushed to the wall is expected to do if they are still sentient beings. That is the point where you draw a line and you tell the oppressive force, this is where I stand and I am not moving from this point. But for that to happen successfully in a space like Nigeria, where the people have been deliberately and systematically divided along ethno-religious lines in order to weaken their solidarity, the first thing you need to do is to clearly outline the purpose of the protest. And I'm using the word protest advisedly now. You must make the cause clear. The man on the street who will be constrained by your protest or sit at home must understand the basis. He must have an understanding of your plan for the day after the protest.
We're developmental journalists who care about the future of this nation. And the question being asked by a lot of Nigerians today is about their future, including their present, today's living. How do they survive today? If you're unable to survive today, if you're unlucky to be one of those that will die of malaria today because you don't have a hospital, because you cannot afford to buy ordinary Coartem or Acertem or any of the other terms that pharmaceutical companies have produced to help with malaria, then you won't be here for the future.
You are pushing people to the wall. When you push people to the wall, it will backlash on you. We are warning, we are telling, look, whatever you are doing, you need to be held accountable to ourselves. There is so much corruption that is happening at the state level, at the federal level, and what they are doing with what is the body language Tinubu is telling people? You know, by go and you are riding a new plane, you are riding new cars and all of those things. You are talking about even they are locking up Nigerians for holding another flag. During NSAS, Nigerians held Nigerian flags and they were mowed down. You had the stain of children's blood on the Nigerian flag. How many offices do we have here that have different flags that are, roaming about Nigeria? What does flag have to do with hunger? There are so many hungry children. Have you accepted that you have so many hungry children?
As the October 1 protest approaches, more Nigerians are joining the call for better governance. Stakeholders are speaking out on the state of the nation, emphasizing the need for systematic change. They stress that the country's problems are not insurmountable, but require collective action and a commitment to reform.
I want to commend everybody that participated in this election, in this protest or a revolt in August. It did not start now. It started a long time ago. We started our own revolt in 2019. That's what we call revolution now. And when we did, you know how many people reacted. Some said, we don't understand what is even the meaning of revolution. What do you want? You lost election, you came back. And we keep telling them that we never had an election. We didn't have an election in 2019. We didn't have an election in 2023. But good news is that we are all back there now. A moment of epiphany and a total conscious realization that if we do not act together now, we are going to perish either individually.
If you have a car, before now, 12,000 naira will fill up your tank. If you earn 18,000 naira before now, 5,000 naira would survive. You'll survive on 5,000 for public transport, irrespective of where you are, even if you're in Lagos or the Southeast or in the North. Today, if you earn 30,000 naira, it would not be enough for public transportation. Now, if you go to the market, I go to the market, you know, with 30,000 naira, literally you can't find what you buy. A bag of rice now, it's about 68,000 naira. So you see, there are different prices. The last one I bought, that was what I paid. But everything keeps going up. You know, when you go to the shop and you ask for a price, most time you turn back because of the price or because you're angry. And then you go home and then you decide, okay, let me just go and buy it. The price would have changed.
Get to a point where things will burn. See, positive change can either happen two ways. When your government listens to you and, you know, has a responsive government and puts in policies to make sure things are going well. Or the other way, to the very extreme, when people feel like as if they've been pushed to the wall so much that they have no alternative but to strike back. And we are fast approaching that level of intervention. If not for anything, like multiple speakers have said today, that the next protest might not be timed, might not be scheduled, might be... In fact, we know the ramifications of such a process that is born out of the primordial yearnings of people who really want to be free. A man who is hungry and caged will fight tooth and nail to be free. And we have a duty to make sure that this situation that we're in does not continue for the generations and generations. How about we look at pages of newspapers in the 1990s and we're still facing the same issues today? It's enough. And I feel that this is the time that this generation and the coming generations have a duty in order to speak to our government, have a citizen-led government as against having a political class-led government.
Because it's very clear that we cannot continue on this path of mind-numbing poverty and suffering. Our people from north, south, east, and west are suffering. They don't know where the next meal is going to come from. It's a challenge for the government. How the government is able to tackle this challenge is something that perhaps only they know. Because you see, look, it's one thing to be a politician and run for an election and win an election. The next stage is, what is the outcome of your win?
What we are facing today as Nigerian is the failure of leadership. Without leadership, there will be no unity, in which you all know that is what we are facing today. There will be no progress, in which everybody know that is what we are facing today. There will be no security, and everybody knows what we are facing today in terms of when it comes to insecurity.
We should talk about a collective approach. We should talk about a Nigeria where policies shapes politics and not a Nigeria where politics shapes policies. With this, we can collaboratively come together and know that it's not just the responsibility of our politicians, but even other institutions and agencies. We should know that the populace are watching, because directly or indirectly, people have family members and extended family members who are affected.
Since Nigeria's return to civilian rule in 1999, protests have been a recurring feature of the country's political landscape. From anti-fuel hike demonstrations to the NSAS movements, citizens have consistently demanded better governance, social justice, and economic reforms. The October 1 protest promises to be the loudest yet, as Nigerians are set to unite to demand a better future. Florence Joshua reporting for Clearview News Desk.